Hi, this is part two of how does the book, The Fourth Turning, predict people versus corporations. So here's the book, The Fourth Turning. And in the last video, I said one contribution I made, big deal, right? But the authors didn't say this, but the 6 wars they talk about through the book that kind of define America were all between distributed power versus concentrated power. And in every one of these 6 wars, the distributed side won and refreshed America. So there's an even more interesting pattern I noticed. Because, okay, all right, so if you can say, looking at history, we're going to have, a fourth turning into a war, and there's a war coming, because there was every time for the last 6 times over 80 years, well, then, is there any pattern we can notice in the 60 years prior to the 20-year war, like the winter season, in the fall season, in the summer, in the spring, before that winter, for each of these 6 wars? Is there any pattern, like something similar across all 6 wars? And that's what I was looking for, and I found it. And what I found was, it's right here, and I'll explain what this means. Okay, the pattern that I noticed in their book that they missed, they absolutely missed, and it would have allowed them to accurately predict what's going on right now in America. The crisis, so this winter season, is about resolving a major liberation issue that was raised in the prior, awakening is another word for the summer, and for us it's the 60s, but which was not adopted by the nation. In other words, the awakening is about people bringing forth new, freedom ideas. Sometimes some of these ideas stick and are adopted by the nation. Other times the idea does not stick. And it is precisely those powerful liberationist ideas which did not stick that become resolved during the next crisis. Okay? So basically the obvious ones are like, where do you got that's Protestant, Third Great Awakening. Anyway, the abolitionists, if you know anything about the Civil War, the abolitionists, were big time in the 1840s. They were pushed back in the 1850s, but man, did they make history in the 1860s. And that's true for all 6 wars. So anyway, what we have to look at is the 60s, and we have to look at what issues were raised during the 60s that succeeded. And I will say that these are the social justice, what's called now social justice warriors and stuff, civil rights movement, women's movement, environmental movement. I'll submit Kamala Harris, civil rights movement, black person, women's movement, Kamala Harris. And Biden said he was going to absolutely have to pick a black woman for his vice president. I think when the president is doing that, we can say, that's not the struggle of our day that we're going to fight the nation over. And anyway, looking at what the hippies were doing, which ideas did the hippies bring forth that failed miserably? It was anti-corporate. It was anti-corporate. So what's interesting is like the Strauss-Howe book talk about how the hippies were anti-corporate. They hated the corporations. Small is beautiful. They loved that book. Like the movie, what was the movie? The Graduate. Boomers approached the altar of the corporate ladder and heard something inside screaming, "Stop, stop, Elaine." So this was the hippie idea. The hippie idea were anti-corporation. So basically, that's what this war was going to be. That's what I predicted in 2003, and I was right.